You're watching South Asia Newsland, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 25th of June. Shubhanshu Shukla launches into space aboard Axiom 4, propels India to new heights. UKPNP slams rights abuses in POJK, Gilgit-Baltistan during protest at UNHRC. And Nepal Parliament passes budget despite criticism from ruling and opposition lawmakers. And now for all the details. Taking a giant cosmic leap, astronaut and Indian Air Force test pilot Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla has etched his name in history as he launched into space as part of NASA's Axiom 4 mission. Strapped into SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft, Group Captain Shukla, who was also mission pilot for the Axiom 4, took off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Launched atop a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, the mission carries Shukla and 3 other crewmates from the US, Poland and Hungary to the International Space Station. The mission is a joint collaboration between NASA, Axiom Space and the Indian Space Research Organization and the European Space Agency. The crew will take 28 hours to dock and will stay for 14 days in space conducting over 60 scientific experiments, including 7 designed by the ISRO. The Indian test pilot, who is also the Vyomnaut designate for the India's ambitious space program Gaganyaan, will also engage in a space-to-Earth outreach program, interacting with India's top leadership and students. Following the launch, Group Captain Shukla has become the second Indian after Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma to go to space and once docked, the first Indian to visit the orbiting station. Rakesh Sharma had made history when he went to the space in 1984.
मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, what a ride! 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत के इस ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
People across India were seen celebrating the historic space leap. Shukla's alma mater in his hometown, Lucknow, streamed the launch event for its students, joined by family members of the Indian astronaut. The family expressed pride and happiness. Similar screening events were held across other cities, with India's Space Minister Jitendra Singh leading one such screening in capital New Delhi. India's President Draupadi Murmu also lauded Shukla and expressed her best wishes to the other crewmates. PM Modi also wished success for the mission and said Shukla carries with him the wishes, hopes and aspirations of 1.4 billion Indians. Shukla, along with 2 other astronauts, is also designated for India's maiden space flight, estimated to be launched by 2027. Once launched successfully, India will become the 4th country in the world to independently send humans into space, paving the way for further space feats.
These are going to be my friends for life.
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, ऊपर वाले दुआ मतलब करते हैं कि मतलब उसने ये हम उसके लिए धन्यवाद देते हैं और मिशन उसका सक्सेसफुल रहा है। अभी इस वक्त
A vindication of the founding fathers of India's space program, Vikram Sarabhai, Satish Dhawan, and it was destined that this vindication of our founding fathers had to happen under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. And today India is no longer a follower. We are equal partners in all our collaborations, and I think it's borne out by the simple fact that of the 4 astronauts in the crew that has gone up, Shubhanshu Shukla is possibly the most important, because not only that he's a pilot, he's also going to perform 7 crucial experiments.
And India's Ministry of External Affairs, in a statement issued on Tuesday, welcomed the reports of ceasefire between Iran and Israel and the role of the United States and Qatar in bringing the truce. The statement further stated that India reiterates that there is no alternative to dialogue and diplomacy in order to address and resolve the multiple conflicts in the region. Amid the rising tensions, India had launched Operation Sindhu to evacuate Indians and nationals of Nepal and Sri Lanka from Iran and Israel. Tel Aviv and Tehran were in conflict for 2 weeks after Israel launched strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, missile sites and oil depots over suspicions of nuclear weapon development. In response, Iran fired waves of ballistic missiles and drones at Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv, Haifa and Jerusalem. Tensions spiked over the weekend as the US bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites, with President Trump claiming they were obliterated. Later, US President Donald Trump claimed that he mediated the Iran-Israel ceasefire. Moving on. MQM Supremo Altaf Hussain has made a direct appeal to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, urging India to speak out against what he calls state-backed atrocities on Mohajirs in Pakistan. A report.
Muttahid Aqwami Movement founder-leader Altaf Hussain has urged Indian PM Narendra Modi to speak out against the genocide and state atrocities faced by Mohajirs in Pakistan. He slammed Pakistan's political and military elite for labeling Mohajirs as traitors due to their Indian roots. Referring to the 1992 military crackdown on the Mohajir community and his MQM, Hussain called on India to raise its voice globally and open its borders to persecuted Mohajirs.
We request you, Mr. Narendra Modi, to raise your voice and use your good offices to help oppressed Mohajirs. Your voice is a power, as a powerful country. Yes, India is a powerful. Soon it will be superpower, one of the superpowers.
The Mohajirs are Urdu-speaking migrants who moved to Pakistan from India during and after the 1947 partition. They allege decades of marginalization, political exclusion, and military crackdowns. Altaf Hussain, who lives in exile in London, has been a vocal critic of Pakistan's policies and often blames it of using force to muzzle dissenting voices in the country.
And outside the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, Kashmir advocacy group UKPNP staged a protest on Tuesday calling for urgent global intervention in what it describes as a pattern of state-sponsored human rights violations in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan.
The United Kashmir People's National Party staged a protest outside the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva on Tuesday during its 59th session, urging action on state-sponsored rights violations in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. The UKPNP condemned the recent killing of 2 young men by police in POJK, calling it part of a broader pattern of impunity and repression. The protesters accused activists and students face arbitrary detention, torture, media censorship, and political exclusion, while basic democratic rights remain absent under sustained military and administrative control in POJK.
हमने ये ज़रूरी जाना कि एक ऐसी फैमिली जिसके बच्चों को दिन दिहाड़े जो है वो कत्ल कर दिया गया है और उनके खिलाफ पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर के किसी भी थाने में कोई एफआईआर रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है, किसी कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ से उनको जो है वो इश्तिहारी नहीं करार दिया गया है। इसके बावजूद पुलिस ने एक झूठी कहानी, और झूठी कहानी ये थी कि जिस वक्त वज़ीर अमूर कश्मीर ने कश्मीरी कौम के लिए एब्यूजिव लैंग्वेज रखी, तो जरनोश जो एक कश्मीरी नौजवान था, स्टूडेंट था, उसने उनके एक जलसा में उनकी तरफ जूता उछाल दिया, तो न सिर्फ उसे बल्कि उसके भाई को भी कत्ल कर दिया। तो ये जुल्म और ज़्यादती जो है हमारे उस एरिया के अंदर ऐसी हो रही है कि जिसके लिए हम समझते हैं कि आवाज़ बुलंद करना ये बहुत ज़रूरी है।
Unfortunately, Pakistan is not ready to listen the voice of progressive, secular, human rights defenders, political activists, and this is alarming situation people are facing in Pakistani occupied Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. We have raised that we have no freedom of expression, and during recent crisis between India and Pakistan, extremist forces are roaming freely, and state is not ready to curb on these extremist groups.
Highlighting decades of suppression, UKPNP appealed to the UNHRC and EU to include human rights conditions in their engagements with Pakistan. It urged the international community to end its silence on POJK and Gilgit-Baltistan, calling the regions invisible zones, plagued by violence and institutionalized neglect.
Moving on. At a recent UN Security Council meeting, Roza Otunbayeva, the head of the UN Assistant Mission in Afghanistan, introduced the Mosaic Plan, a new framework for structured international engagement with the Taliban aimed at integrating Afghanistan into the global order without formal recognition. The UN official clarified that the plan focuses on coordinated dialogue while keeping human rights and international obligations central. Pakistan welcomed the initiative and reaffirmed support for the Doha process. China and Russia urged lifting travel bans on Taliban officials to facilitate talks. The US said its Afghanistan policy remains under review, prioritizing citizen safety and counter-terrorism. Meanwhile, the UK, France and UN women strongly criticized the worsening repression of Afghan women and girls. The UN women noted no restrictions had been lifted in 9 months. Qatar announced it will host 2 Doha Working Group meetings from June 30th to July 1st, including Taliban participation. The meeting took place amid Taliban demands for representation in global forums. And following a verdict by the Appellate Division of the Supreme Court, the Election Commission has reinstated the registration of the Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami, an Islamist political party, along with its party symbol, the Dhaka Tribune has reported. After the independence of Bangladesh, the party was banned, along with all other religion-based parties in 1972 by the regime. Also, the police on Tuesday arrested former Chief Election Commissioner PM Nurul Huda in a case related to his alleged involvement in manipulating the national election after taking him in custody from his residence on Sunday after a mob apprehended Nurul, reports suggest. This came after a top BNP leader filed a case against 24 individuals, including the former Chief Election Commissioner and the former PM Sheikh Hasina, for manipulating the elections in 2014, 2018 and 2024. These advancements in Bangladesh politics come amid the allegations on Mohammad Yunus-led interim government for delaying the national elections. Earlier this month, Yunus informed that elections in Bangladesh will be held in the first half of April 2026. Moving on. Nepal's House of Representatives on Tuesday passed the 1.96 trillion rupees budget for the fiscal year 2025-26, despite criticism from both ruling and opposition lawmakers. Expressing their views, lawmakers had criticized the budget for lacking balance and being tailored to appease the constituencies of some leaders. The Appropriation Bill 2025 presented in Parliament by Finance Minister Bishnu Podal was approved by a majority vote during the Tuesday's session. The opposition argued that the budget fails to address the broader needs of the country as a whole. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Oli emphasized that the budget is comparatively balanced, equitable and result-oriented and has been designed to ensure balanced development based on geographical, regional and thematic needs and considerations. PM Oli also stated that due to the dearth of the resources, the budget could not satisfy the wants of all lawmakers. He pledged that efforts will be made in the future to address grievances of lawmakers. Discussions on the budget was delayed due to the opposition's ruckus over the demand for the committee to investigate the visit visa scam. And that's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Till then, good night.